footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Sit next to Rafael Fernandez, and we'll bring you a CFL team preview of the BC Lions. Now, Rafael, last year they went 8-10. They made it to the playoffs, even with the losing record. However, it was the last couple of games in which they turned it on pretty good, and it's all due to the improved quarterback play of Travis Lulay. Talk about that passing offense and how well they're going to progress more so this season.
Well, I think that team they were probably the hottest team going down the stretch last year in the CFL. They had great play from the quarterback. I mean, their offense was on point. They need to. I just feel like they need to improve on that and continue that hot streak and kind of like ride that wave in order for them to have some success this year in the CFL.
Well, they struggled maintaining possession and staying on the field for extending drives. They struggled. They were second last in time of possession. But Lulay is going to do a great job this year. I think he's going to improve dramatically. What's going to be the key battle is that backup quarterback position. Now, who's going to be the backup, whether it be Jarius Jackson or Mike Riley? I think Mike Riley has a shot because he's younger, but at least they have the veteran presence in Jarius Jackson. Now, one place on offense that BC did do well was the running game. Jamal Robinson, getting him coming over from Toronto was huge last season. He had over 900 yards rushing. Did a great job with making a lot of big plays. Talk about that running game and how well they can progress this season.
Well, I believe that it all starts with the offensive line. If they can continue to block for him, I mean, then I believe that the running game will blossom. But I mean, I really like this team. It's one of the few, one of the teams in the CFL that I believe are going to make some noise. I mean, but it all starts with their running game. I mean, that's running is going to set up their pass, and I think that's what's going to make them a better team this year.
Well, they also have a backup running back in Jerome Messam. This guy is 6'3", 245 pounds. He's going to be that banger. So now you have a 1-2 punch, a heck of a 1-2 punch to team him up with Robinson. That's going to be huge. But keep an eye on Michael Smith. He's low on the depth chart now, a guy out of Arkansas. But if he can make the team, this guy has a lot of talent. Excellent pass catch out of the backfield, and there's a jitterbug that can make a guy miss in the phone booth. Now, talking about their receiving core, I like their receiving core. They're a big physical group. Their slot back position is where they're most talented. Yes, Paris Jackson may be out for an extended period of time due to injury, but they still have G-Roy Simon. This guy's a physical freak.
He's my favorite player on that team. I mean, he makes catches that make you go, oh. Wow, I mean, he's a playmaker. I mean, he needs to continue to play that way for them to have success this year. I mean, he had a good season. I believe he had 6 touchdowns for the whole season. I mean, it could be a little better, but considering he had a real good season.
Well, in the first round, they went with one of my favorite wide receivers in the draft, Marco Iannuzzi out of Harvard. This guy ripped up the Ivy League. 6 feet, 195, Mr. Consistency, caught everything thrown his way. He should help out that offense a lot. And also keep an eye on, Akeem Foster. This guy is 6'4", 212. He's going to be starting at the X position. So they have a lot of big physical wide receivers, and they can make a lot of plays. So I think their receiving core is going to be great. A lot of talent. Should help Lulay ease into his second year as a full-time starter. But it all depends on that offensive line, which gave up a league-leading 60-something sacks, 65 sacks to be exact. They have to do better up front.
Yeah, that's definitely something that needs to improve. I mean, you can't have your quarterback be on his back that much because he's either going to end up hurt or it's going to end up costing you a game. So they need to improve on that. I mean, they definitely do. Once they do that, they'll be able to focus on everything else on the team. But right now, the offensive line needs to improve that.
Well, they have some talent up there on the front five. I'm sorry. Ben Archibald is a guy that's very talented left tackle, and Jesse Newman, UL Lafayette Raging Cajun, got to mention that he's doing a great job at the guard position. But they need to get more aggressive up front. They do a great job run blocking, pass blocking. They struggled. They couldn't handle the blitz. So if they can improve, I want to know how they're going to use Dean Valade. This guy is a very talented player. He's versatile. He can play guard or center, but he's not going to replace the center they have right now in Angus Reed, who's been there 11 years. But if they can get some type of consistency and they can block better in the passing game, they could be fine. Now, defensively, when you look at their defensive line, they've given up over 135 yards a game on the ground, so they're second to last, 6.4 yards a carry. They have to improve that defensive front. They run a 3-4 type of look. So what do you think about their defensive line?
Well, one thing I like about their defense in general, before I get into the defensive line, is that they run the 3-4, but they also can run the 4-3, which that causes a lot of headaches for opposing offenses. So, I mean, that's one thing I like about them, the versatility and their ability to change coverages and disguise things. But as far as the defensive line, I mean, they're very aggressive. I mean, they need to play a little better, though. I mean, I think that once they have some consistency on getting some pass rush, that'll make them more dangerous. That'll just help up that back seven.
Well, you look at the 3 down line, they're more of a gap control type defense. I really like Aaron Hunt, 6'3", 280 pounds, play the 5 technique. He does a great job pushing the pocket. The pressure really comes from Kieran Williams, 6'1", 265 sacks on the defensive front. Now the linebackers is where they're going to make their money. These guys make a lot of tackles. I like their linebackers a lot. The defensive line has to do a better job of holding up their front. But second-year player, Solomon Elamine, this guy, 77 tackles, 5 sacks, even an interception, and he's a future All-Pro. This guy is 6 feet, 235 pounds, big thumper in the middle. What do you think about the linebacking core and their ability to make tackles?
I think they make plays. They're definitely great tacklers, and they're probably the best group on their defense, if you ask me.
Yeah, middle linebacker Anton McKenzie, he's another playmaker, veteran guy, a guy that had 59 tackles. His read and recognition skills are great. This guy can diagnose plays and get there in a hurry. The rover position is like a safety position. This guy plays in the box. It's Corey Banks. He's been a consistent performer. He had 7 sacks last year. We could bring that speed off the edge and drop back in coverage. You're going to be fine. He had 2 interceptions, so he's going to make a lot of plays out that position. But keep an eye on James Urachek. He's a hard-hitting linebacker. He's going to be backing up the middle linebacker spot, but he should see some ticks overall throughout the season. Now, moving on to the secondary. The secondary wasn't that bad, but they don't have a lot of size. Talk about the secondary and their ability to stop people from throwing on them.
Well, yeah, that's one thing. The one problem they did have was their size. I mean, but other than that, I believe that they covered well. I mean, they play good defense. I mean, they're not a team that gets too much pressure, so they have to play a lot better than maybe they should. Mm-hmm. But as long as they can continue to have some consistency there, I mean, they should be fine.
Well, I look at Dante Marsh and David Sanchez. These guys are corners, so they man the outside. They do a great job there. But I like Stanley Franks. He has a solid year. The first year out there in BC as the H-back, 3 interceptions, 70 tackles, so he makes a lot of plays. The question I have is free safety. Is J.R., let me get this name correct, LaRose, ready to start at free safety? Because he's going to be a newbie. If he's ready to start at free safety, then they're going to be fine. But keep an eye on Jason Araki. This guy may have something to say about that because he's going to be a solid playmaker, physical safety, a guy that has a lot of size and should do well. Now, question, what do you like most about BC as far as them this season?
Well, they're a team that finished hot last season, and I like teams that finish hot because what that tells me is that they're ready to take that next step. Mm-hmm. Another thing we didn't mention is they have a pretty good kicker on that team.
Okay.
He's a pretty much a guy that can win you a game or tie you a game late. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I like this team a lot. This is gonna be my surprise pick. I got them finishing second in the West.
Okay. And what I like most about BC, I like Lulay's progression. I like the big physical wide receivers. I love the linebackers and their ability to make plays downhill. What I don't like is the offensive line questions, and they're going to need some more pass rush out the defensive front. I know they run a 3-4, but they still got to get some type of pass rush. Now, I'm like you. I think they're going to do well. I have them finishing second in the West. They're going to get to the playoffs. They're going to do a great job. I think they were 8-10 last year, and they were only a couple of plays away from being, 11-7 or something like that. But they do a great job of, picking up late. People thought they didn't have heart, but I think they have a lot of heart, which is why I think they're going to push. They're not going to beat Calgary, but they're going to do a great job of competing. They're going to get a good, nice seeding in the playoffs. I think they do fine. I think they go second in the West.
I agree.
For more CFL team previews, visit footballgameplan.com/CFL or visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/footballgameplan. And listen to the Football Game Plan radio show, which airs Saturdays 11 a.m. Eastern Time at blogtalkradio.com/footballgameplan.